Maple Namu. Hello, and welcome back for the first time to the Maple Namu Podcast. My name is Chris, and today I'm going to tell you about old ladies throwing stones. Context is really important. On Saturday, there was an old lady throwing stones at me, which sounds like a terrible thing, and your first thought might be like, what? An old lady, a grandma, throwing stones at you? But in context, it actually makes a lot of sense, and is really funny. It's a funny thing that happened. So at our house, we have some mushroom trees. Well, I mean, mushrooms don't grow on trees, but they're cut down trees or logs that my father-in-law drilled holes in and put mushroom spores, and kind of left them at our house. And we had these last year, and they didn't do anything. But this year, they finally started producing mushrooms. I have moved them around so many times. I hate them, because there's just so many, and there's no good place. Every time we move them somewhere, I have another project, and I need to move them again. So it's annoying, but I do like mushrooms sometimes, and they've started to grow, which is really nice. It's always nice when you plant something, and it starts growing, and you can eat them. We have two kinds, but one of them the bugs really like, and one of them the bugs don't bother. So we have at least one kind of mushroom that we can eat. And they're delicious, actually. They're really good. They're expensive, though, if you buy them in a mart. But growing them seems to be just waiting a lot, and that's fine. At our place, we don't have anywhere that's like really good for growing mushrooms. But the place we have them now, they're there. They'll probably stay there, I hope. And I don't have to move them again, I hope. But the problem is I can't get to the back side of them. So I can see the front side, but I can't see the back side. And for whatever reason, that's where the mushrooms like to grow. I think it has something to do with where the sun is and stuff like that. So I can't get to them. So I have to pull each log one at a time, look at the back, and see. I mean, I can look over or around the side, but it actually weirdly helps if there's someone on the other side. And I was out there on Saturday just looking at it. My wife asked me, hey, can you go pick some mushrooms? And I was like, okay, why not? And Grills, one of the old ladies in the village, if you heard my other podcasts talking about them, she's the one with silver teeth, so we call her Grills. She was riding her little old lady scooter by, and she wondered what I was doing. And she asked if I was picking mushrooms. I mean, she could figure out what I was doing because I'm by the mushrooms, and I had a mushroom in my hand, but she asked anyways, and she decided it was kind of difficult. It wasn't an easy thing to do. And because of how our house is, we tend to be a little bit lower, and she was on the upper road, which meant that she had the perfect view of the logs where the mushrooms were. And she decided to try and tell me where they are. Now, if you've spent any time in the Korean countryside, or really anywhere outside of a major city, you know that it's really hard to understand old ladies. And just the different accents and the way they speak, and they're old and they don't really care anymore. Communication with Grills is hard at best. We're doing better than we did a year ago, but it's not like we spend all of our time talking to each other, and usually I have no idea what she's saying, but she's figured that out, and she started using more body language, and she actually uses 2 or 3 English words, which is really interesting. You know, she looked at them, she saw the mushrooms, and she was just like, nice? Like, yeah, nice, thank you. So it's kind of funny, but it's hard. And I mean, we had context, which is good, that always helps. And she was trying to tell me where they were. She'd be like, that one, no, that one, beside that one. And I was kind of getting it, but struggling a little bit. And then she had an idea. And she told me she was going to do it. She didn't just start throwing rocks. But that doesn't make a very good headline. So she started throwing rocks at some of the logs that had the mushrooms on them so that I knew where they were, and then I could get in there and I could pick the mushrooms from those, which worked surprisingly well. And she has really good aim. Like, she got right where she wanted to, and I don't know whether I should be impressed or worried that she's so good at throwing rocks. So she would throw a rock, I would know which log to look for, pick the mushroom, and she kept doing it, and we got 5 or 6 mushrooms this way. Maybe even more, actually. And it just worked really well. It was really funny. But in any other context, an old lady throwing rocks at me would just be the rudest thing. But here in the countryside, picking mushrooms as a way to communicate and show, it just worked. Communication itself is dirty, which is why maybe you'll see a lot of testing doesn't really do communication, because there are so many factors. Like, imagine I was doing a speaking test and I said, well, I would throw rocks to show where the thing was. It would look just insane. The teacher would be like, what? You're going to throw rocks at the person you're talking to? Are you nuts? But it worked. So, anything goes. And I shared a few mushrooms with her after, because she did help, and she was really happy about it, and it feels good. An old lady throwing stones at me was a good thing. We gave some of the other mushrooms to some friends and to the old man above us who has a farm, and he gave us some radish, so we gave him some mushrooms. And we usually try and share when we can. And this weekend was a good weekend for that. Positive interactions with the old people in the village are always good, even if it does mean having stones thrown at me. But anyways, that's it for the episode today. Hopefully you enjoyed listening. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. And have a great day.